Have you come upon the core of any reform movement with regard to women in prison? And if so, I mean, I understand there are here and there some patches of sort of hopeful institutions where some good things are going on that aren't going on around most of the rest of the country. But if Joe Biden or Jill Biden calls you on November 4th and says, "What do we do now about this crisis with female inmates?" What do you say?
So I'll just say first that the movements that I find most inspiring, that make most sense to me, tend to be abolitionist movements, not reform movements. That said, I appreciate the need for reform, for a person who's in solitary confinement. They still need the reform. I mean, abolition is not going to just happen. I think in particular with women, what I see is in my research that so many women are in prison because they have been trying to survive physical or sexual violence. I think that men are in prison for many reasons as well, but specifically this is something they're trying to survive it as well. There are a lot of people in women's prisons who have extreme abuse backgrounds, who have been physically tortured, who have been have had great sexual violence done to them.
Well, Sandra Brown was one in your story.
Yes.
Who said, the tragedies we've suffered since we were little girls and young women with acts of violence against us, and then suddenly I react, I respond, and I'm a criminal.
Exactly. And and we don't have our laws. First of all, I don't think prosecutors are informed about when to charge and when to not, what is justice. I don't think defense attorneys, largely just regular defense attorneys in your small town, have any idea about what so many of the women are going through. They don't put forth mitigating factors. The laws are not designed, laws are designed, self-defense laws are really designed for two similar sized men outside a bar who just met and one has a gun and, or somebody breaking into your home. But what about, stand your ground? Well, what if it's both of your ground? So I think, to have the actual concerns of women written into law, to have some rules that prosecutors perhaps may either have to follow or some education for them, you don't always have to charge somebody with everything and go for the harshest thing, harshest penalty. That's a consideration. But again, when I look at the systems in terms of how can reform be done, I see the necessity of it. And I have people I know who call themselves radical pragmatists who say we just need to, people I respect. But when I really look at it, it looks to me like so many social systems are missing on the way there that by the end, people are just failed, like Sandra Brown, who's a brilliant woman, and she's getting out soon, in Chicago. So many people are just failed all their lives by every system that should have been there to help them. And then that very system that failed them swiftly turns around, blames them for everything, and then punishes them as harshly as possible. And in doing so, what's interesting to me, because it's kind of a parallel to how abusers act, and many of these people's abusers acted, they erase the story. They erase the narrative surrounding that person. And that person is reduced to the act with no context. And then that's the data that we have. This person killed, it was not self-defense because the state decided it was not self-defense. There's no mitigating circumstances because the state decided that you were lying about that or didn't care. And that's that, you're gone. So there are so many things that could be done ahead of time. So many programs that could save people, could save the lives that were taken of the victims. that could save families, that could save communities. So to me, I really think that's where the investment really should go, toward making those new structures.